All right, so there's a lot of hype around Mooresville, North Carolina. Is it still worth moving to? Let's get into the pros and cons of living in Mooresville, North Carolina. Hey, my name is Austin and I make videos about what it is like to move to or live in the Lake Norman area. Today we're going to be covering the pros and cons of living in Mooresville, North Carolina. Let's get into our first pro, and that is the proximity to Lake Norman. So Mooresville actually touches Lake Norman and you have immediate access to the lake. And a great spot for that is going to be the Stumpy Creek Park, which has a fishing pier. It has 2 boat launches, a couple of benches. It's a great spot to go and just view the lake and hang out. Go boating, jet skiing. You could even launch your kayaks from this park. And on top of that, Stumpy Creek Park also has access to soccer, football, and baseball fields. On top of all that, Stumpy Creek Park also has hiking trails, and it even has disc golf. So it's a great spot to go and hang out with your friends and family and to get out on the lake for the day. Now, on top of Stumpy Creek Park and Lake Norman, you also have really close access to Lake Norman State Park, just up the road in Troutman. And Lake Norman State Park has so much to offer as well. It has their own boat launch. It has its own fishing piers. It has over 31 miles of mountain biking trails and up to about 38 miles or so, because there are some walking only trails as well. So about 38 total miles of trails in Lake Norman State Park. You also have camping areas, and Lake Norman State Park has its own beach as well. And in the summertime, they also do boat and kayak rentals there. It's a great place to go to hang out, again, with the family or with some friends, or even by yourself. It's a great place to go and hike, to go and get some scenery. Lake Norman State Park is just really scenic. It has tons of tall trees and beautiful scenery. And in the fall, when those fall colors change, it is a great place to be. All right, so let's move into our next pro, and that is going to be that Mooresville, North Carolina offers a fantastic food scene. Mooresville has so many good options for food that the neighboring towns of Troutman and Statesville, you'll often see a lot of the people that live up there drive down to Mooresville to get some dinner. Now, some of my favorite places in Mooresville, the first one I'm going to mention is Eddie's on the Lake. Now, this is a great all-around restaurant. They have a ton of different things that they offer on the menu, and including an outdoor patio and some outdoor seating if you wanted to watch some sporting events. We do have a bar there as well. Now, what's unique with Eddie's on the Lake is that it is directly on Lake Norman. You can actually take your boats, if you have a boat on Lake Norman, to Eddie's on the Lake. They have a few different spots where you can park your boat, and a little bit of a small beach there. Some of my other favorite restaurants in Mooresville is Epic Chop House, which is a phenomenal steakhouse. Probably the nicest in the area without having to go down to Charlotte or up to Winston-Salem. Alino Pizzeria is very good as well. That is also in the downtown area of Mooresville. And another good spot is Big Tiny's Barbecue. Yeah, Big Tiny's. I thought that was funny when I first read that. Big Tiny's is a Texas style barbecue. So they do have brisket, which is something I was always looking for, especially with that Carolina barbecue heavily favoring pork over beef. Some other ones I'm going to mention as well. First Watch is great. I love going there for breakfast. It does get really busy. And the Famous Toastery as well. Fantastic cinnamon rolls. That place also gets very busy in the mornings on the weekend. And another cool thing that Mooresville has is a festival of food trucks. And what that is once a month they close down their main street in downtown Mooresville. They have a ton of food trucks. I believe it's about 15 that come out. There's live music and some other vendors as well. And it does get very crowded, but it is a lot of fun. Now, real quick, as much as I love making these videos, I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of North Carolina. So if there's anything I can do to help you with any of those real estate needs that you may have, that number popping up below, I am the person that's going to answer those phone calls, text messages, and emails. So if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. But with that being said, let's get back into the video. All right, our next pro is that Mooresville has very diverse housing options. And what I mean by that is near downtown, you're going to see a lot of older homes, some Victorian style homes as well. You're also going to see a lot of new construction in Mooresville. You're gonna see a lot of townhomes in Mooresville. And closer to Lake Norman, you're gonna see a ton of luxury homes, a lot of homes on the waterfront. And when I mean a lot of homes, there are a ton of homes in Mooresville that have lakefront views. Now, the majority of the homes around Lake Norman did start being built in the late 80s, early 90s, and further on. And they are still building out there. You're gonna see some new construction lots that pop up in between a lot of the more developed neighborhoods. Now, that is because there are still some lots available, and some custom home builders will buy up those lots to make some nice homes. Now, there are some entry-level and mid-range homes available in these new construction neighborhoods. And because we are just a little bit further outside of Charlotte, you are gonna see a little bit of a better price range in comparison to like Cornelius, Davidson, and Huntersville. Now, something I found interesting about Mooresville is that there are 2 zip codes. It's divided right down the middle by I-77, and a lot of those luxury homes that you're gonna see closer to the lake are gonna be on the west side of I-77, and a lot of the older homes, Mooresville's downtown, is gonna be on the east side of I-77. Now, the closer you get to the lake, the demand for housing is huge, and that is because a lot of the shopping and restaurants are gonna be on the west side of I-77, and much closer to Lake Norman. And lastly, entry price for Mooresville is around $350,000 and goes up to about as much as you really want to spend. All right, let's move into our next pro, and that is going to be access to fantastic schools in Mooresville. Now, on niche.com, several elementary schools in Mooresville, and the lowest grade that any of them got was an A-. On top of that, Lake Norman High School has an A- as well, and Pine Lake Prep School also has an A. All right, let's move into our last pro, and that is that Mooresville has a lot of shopping and entertainment options available. Now, when I talk about shopping, there are a lot of smaller shops, but Mooresville also carries these big box stores as well. They have your Target, they have Walmart, they have Costco, I'm a huge fan of Costco, and they also have Sam's Club as well. They have an Academy Sports, Dick's Sporting Goods, Home Goods, Michael's. You literally don't need to leave Mooresville to go shopping unless you're looking for some really high-end shopping, which then you'll probably have to drive down to either Huntersville or even further down into Charlotte. And if you are looking for a Whole Foods, the closest one is right down the road in Huntersville as well. Now, on top of the shopping, Mooresville also has great entertainment options. They have a bowling alley, they have a go-kart track, they have several different golf courses, including Mooresville Golf Club, which is one of my favorites, which is a public course that you can go to. And Mooresville Golf Club also has a fantastic restaurant called On the Nines. It's one of the best restaurants in all of Mooresville, and it's a little more of a fine dining vibe. And speaking of golf, Mooresville also is home to Trump Charlotte, which is out on the point. And out on the point is where you're gonna find a ton of those luxury homes near Lake Norman that I was talking about as well. Lastly, I do like to add that Mooresville does have a nice greenway called the Dye Creek Greenway, and they also have a pretty good movie theater as well. All right, with all those pros, let's jump into our first con, and that is going to be that Mooresville has a lot of traffic and congestion. And a lot of this is mainly just focused on Route 150 or River Highway, and you're going to find a ton of restaurants and shopping on this specific road, which is why you're going to see a lot of traffic as people are going in and out of all of these different areas. And it's not just the traffic for the people that live in Mooresville, but you're also going to see a lot of people from Troutman, Statesville, and Davidson coming to Mooresville to get some of their shopping in as well. Now, for our commuters down to Charlotte, Mooresville is kind of like the starting point on I-77 for that rush hour traffic going south in the mornings and going north in the evenings. That's really where the traffic in Mooresville kind of stops. Sometimes it does go a little bit further into Statesville as well though. Now, a lot of this traffic is really because of the population growth and the high demand that Lake Norman has to offer, and everything that Mooresville also has to offer as well. And really what's causing this is that the population growth has outpaced the infrastructure that we have here in Mooresville. And one more thing I'm going to add is that I-77, that drive time going down to Charlotte can sometimes be unpredictable unless you're using that toll road, in which case those toll roads are dependent on the traffic as well. So during rush hour times, the toll roads do get a little bit more expensive. All right, let's get into our next con, and that is that Mooresville is not really a walkable town. Now, there's tons of shopping, tons of restaurants, grocery stores, but they're all basically on one road, and they're kind of far and separated from the houses for the most part. You're really gonna need a car when you live in Mooresville, and there is a light rail planned to go all the way up to Mooresville from Charlotte, but that is still it's still a thought right now. They're still working on it. It's probably going to be another 5 to 10 years before we even see any type of light rail coming all the way up to Mooresville. On top of that, there are a good amount of sidewalks, but there aren't really many bike lanes. So yeah, with Mooresville not being very walkable, you kind of will need a car to get around, to go shopping, hit those restaurants down in Mooresville. All right, let's get into our next con. And for me, that is the hot, humid summers of Mooresville, North Carolina. Now, for some of you that might be a pro, especially people who love the summer and the humidity. Now, it does get pretty humid in the summer. But one thing I will add is that Mooresville and North Carolina altogether does have 4 seasons. So if you are looking for 4 seasons of the weather, Mooresville, North Carolina is a fantastic place to be. Now, I did say the summers get very hot and humid. You are going to see a good amount of thunderstorms in the summer as well. And the mosquitoes and the flies do come out in the summer, so you might want to bring some bug spray. Now, fall is really nice because of those tall trees that we do have in Mooresville, North Carolina. It's something I noticed when I lived down in South Texas. The trees weren't really tall, and when we get those seasonal fall colors, it's just a beautiful place to be. Winter is pretty mild. It doesn't really get too cold. Now, you are going to have some cold days. It's a cold, maybe like a week or two where you get really cold weather. It does snow here, but it doesn't snow very often as well. We did get some snow last year. We got about 4 inches, which, go figure, is the average in Mooresville, North Carolina. But in the few years prior, I believe it was 3 or 4 years ago was the last time we did see snow before this last year. So if you are looking for those mild winters, you still want to see some snow occasionally, but you don't want to be living in it. This is a great place to be. And spring is really nice as well. We do get a good amount of rain showers. All right, let's get into our next con. And for me, that is going to be rising housing prices. Now, with everything I've just shared in this video, it's no surprise that rising housing prices are coming because the demand for living in Mooresville is so high. We have a ton of people moving here from out of state, as well as other people in North Carolina that are relocating to Charlotte and the Lake Norman area, and they really like Mooresville, North Carolina. Now, again, there is a limited supply, especially of those luxury lakefront homes. There are, again, some custom builders still building, and there is some lots out there, but you are gonna see a lot more new construction in Mooresville, which is good. It's helping with the demand, and it's helping keep prices kind of steady right now. And again, Mooresville has that premium access to Lake Norman. It has access to shopping and restaurants, which also does put the strain on that infrastructure that we talked about a few cons ago as well. All right, so that's gonna be the pros and cons of living in Mooresville, North Carolina. And one more thing I wanna add, I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of North Carolina. So as much as I love making these videos, I'd love to help you out with any of those real estate needs that you may have. So that number that's popping up below, I am going to be the person that answers those phone calls, text messages, and emails. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.